Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Chemda, your episode's out with Tristan Miller. It's called Positive Negative. That's their podcast. And Chemda describes it by saying, I talk about feelings and fucked up shit that happens in my life. Did I surprise the host Tristan with how much bad shit has happened to me? By the way, good for you for recognizing, finally.
Well, I see people, I just think I say regular shit. And I'm like, and then I had open heart surgery to remove a football-sized tumor. And he's like, wow.
And how open I am about it and still happy. This episode, like my life, is full of feelings that no one wants to talk about, but everyone wants to hear. That's so true. So download that. By the way, you can go to keithandthegirl.com/forums, and they put together a collection of all the shows we're on. So make sure you're part of that.
Being a podcaster and being on other people's podcasts really does confuse me because we have so many listeners, right? And we do it for a living. So I'm like, oh, people love feelings and thoughts and, reality and like weird brain shit. And then I go into the real world and I say like an eighth of the thing that I would say on the show. And people are horrified.
Sure. How are you isn't a question, Chemda. Okay. Today's guest featured on the Hot Mess Comedy Hour, featured in the New York Comedy Festival, featured in the New York Post, Time Out New York, your buddy and mine.
And featured recently at 2 Drunk Minimum.
Oh, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Last time he was on, it was episode 3101, Jingle Hell. Lucas Connolly.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh my God, you are a fan favorite. You're one of our favorites.
Oh,
You're
I'm
just
so excited.
talk about saying inappropriate things. I have never been in a conversation with you going like, yeah, this would totally be appropriate in regular life.
3,000 episodes, and he makes my jaw drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a crazy episode.
The episode Jingle Hell, by the way, robo-tripping recap, axe throwing, comics on the road, and catfishing daddy. You know what? I didn't know where to go with me and my dad, so I just emailed him actually last night, the middle of the night. And his last email was, careful what you wish for. Do you want to know about me and your ex-wife? And so I wrote, and I knew he went to the hospital again for another stent. It's okay. It happens weekly. How are you feeling? I wrote back.
This is you? Okay.
Yeah. And I just heard back the show with, who was the last guest? Who was the latest guest?
One moment, please.
Tracy Carnazzo. And she brought up the pre-cana, or one of us did. And that's when the priest sits you down before you get married and goes over sex. How often do you have it? Goes over finance, who makes the money, so that to make sure that you're ready to get married, that you thought it out. And my dad said, I will do that for you too. And so I wrote, can you imagine the pre-cana?
Wait, that's what you wrote in your latest email?
Yeah. How are you feeling? Can you imagine the pre-cana? Anyway, how's your heart? How's your health? That's the end.
Wait, but how did pre-cana come up on this one?
I brought it up because he said, careful what you wish for about me and your ex-wife.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, whoa, you're trying to fuck my ex-wife? Imagine that pre-cana. Yeah, who knows? I don't know where it's going to go.
Oh, you shot in the dark. What time was that? Because your brain was going.
Pre-cana is such to me, it's like 2 steps away from like what you really want.
Right.
Like what you wanted to say, kind of like it's like such a weird, like he knows that what pre-cana is.
He used to be a priest.
Yeah.
Oh, so
yeah,
I guess so.
What do you mean 2 steps away? Like if you're in pre-cana, you're telling the priest like 2 things removed of what you really feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your fucking priest. Like, who are you? Oh, hi. Let's tell you our whole life story. We're still trying to work it out.
Yeah, it seems so. It also is like you're like you jumped in the like your dad's gonna marry my ex. Like that's a huge. That's what I was talking about. Like that's a huge step too. You're like, what are you gonna marry my ex? Like it was like, what about just make a first date?
I think from now on, I'm just going to write goofy shit.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a cow jumping over the moon for? Send?
That's nice. No, I'm into that. Because I feel like he reads it the same as your thought out, hard-earned words.
And then he writes back, so you do want to know what happened in the 7th year of seminary? What?
Ugh.
Okay. Before the show, just to check the levels, I say, what's the latest movie you saw? And you saw the movie Crawl with alligators during a flood in a small town.
Well, that sounds amazing. Why am I not running to the movie theater.
And I go, what do you think about it? And he goes, it was exciting when the alligators. And I go, yes! Yes, exactly. It's exciting when the alligators are eating people. Yeah. But then when the humans have to regroup, you're bored shitless.
Oh, my God. Yes.
Right?
That's the, and
that's not a good movie review. You're both very excited that you went to the movies.
No, we're excited that we connected.
Okay.
Also, this is how guys get excited.
That's also... them connecting is 10 minutes of the movie. The 90 rest of the minutes of the movie are just alligators.
Yeah, by the way, people. It's a father and daughter. They can take a beating, right?
Yeah. The physics doesn't make much sense. The first time he gets bit, it's bleeding everywhere. Then they get bit and nothing happens. They're just like, well, I'm just immune to bites now.
One's missing an arm. All right, we'll put the belt around that so it doesn't bleed out.
Yeah, like
and you guys are happy you went outside to go do this.
We love violence, apparently.
Yeah.
Why does that not concern you?
Right?
Because you guys look so happy. You guys never look happy unless weird shit is happening. So this is weird.
Well, for one, I'm from. I spent a lot of time in Florida, so
I knew someone was going to say Florida.
Yeah. So it was like the perfect kind of Florida man situation. You're like, yeah, this is the worst Florida could be.
Wait,
possibly.
Florida? Do you hear what you're like? Whenever someone brings up Florida, it's like I went to rehab. Alligators. Shitbirds.
Well, you get nervous. It's like, well, how many people can alligators eat? And then you see during the flood somebody's trying to steal an ATM machine. You're like, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah. Because you're not gonna make it.
Look at your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're so good. It's so fun. Legit, there was these moments where he's all like, I always wanted to be a better father to you. But you're like,
ew.
Kill him, let him die.
They have these heart-to-hearts as they're swimming past alligators. Remember why I kept taking you to swim practice? Yeah, Dad, but maybe now's not the time. Yeah. There's fucking 5 alligators down here.
Well, credit where credit's due. You wouldn't be able to swim right now.
Right. He goes, you're going to be faster than those alligators thanks to me, your dad.
Right. Is now the time? Well, I never did sell our house, actually, because there's so many memories of my ex-wife and you kids. Who cares? There's alligators. We'll get dinner after.
This shows the low bar that dads need to have in order to be considered good dads. Like, I took you to swim classes. Okay, Dad, we're getting eaten by alligators. No, but I'm a good dad.
Yeah, but she's kind of like that. So he's being that way, and she's like, not right now, Dad. And he's all like, and he goes, we're good. I swear.
Oh, it's so not encouraging to go to the movies. Thank you, guys.
In an hour, 27 minutes. In and out. In and out. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I want less bang for my buck. You're not doing me a favor making it 5 hours with an intermission.
Yeah. And 10 of the minutes is just her driving in a car to the house.
Yeah, so you can come late.
Yeah. You go, I don't really know if this is needed. It's just them being like, this hurricane is bad. You should turn around. And she's like, I'm going to keep driving.
You were mentioning that show, Two Drunk Minimum.
Yes.
You just did it with Lucas. There's so much going on, not even counting the robo-tripping.
Seriously, I was co-hosting with Andrea Allen, which I was honored to be in that seat. And I was like, well, the first time Lucas was on, he basically told us his whole thing, like the robo-tripping, the seeing an elephant in the room, the whole crazy shit. But I'm like, I guess we'll just kind of recap and maybe go deeper or whatever. Lucas, your stories are endless. We didn't even get to robo-tripping. My jaw was on the ground again. I can't even tell you. And the thing is we ended up deep. And I told Lucas before the show, I asked him a final question, which was, and this is like the more, sensitive part of the show. The rest draw on the floor. But I said, what does your girlfriend have to look for? Because basically,
in case there's trouble again.
Well, Lucas and Andrea are talking about how they were shitbirds before, how the symptom of this ism is that they will be a shit fuck to you if you're in the way. Like they will step on you, right? I'm not exaggerating.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And here I'm looking at two human beings that are just beautiful, like reliable, just dependable, fantastic. You ask anybody, they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Hire them, work with them, be friends with them, all this shit. So I'm like, how do you, and they're both telling me all that stuff is still in me. I'm just in recovery constantly. I'm doing the work. So I'm like, okay, so you could revert back at any second, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're very calm about this. So I'm like, well, you're dating someone. how would they know if this is coming back if, you're such a lovely person now? And he blew my mind. Do you want to repeat what you said? Or he's like,
No,
well, I don't even know what I said.
Yeah, go for it.
Because he came in here. I'm like, you blew my mind. He's like, okay. So he said that if it's happening, he'll throw big emotion on something. And Andrea agreed. He'll throw big emotion to distract from what you're supposed to talk about. So now you're focused on the big emotion that means nothing. All of a sudden you're crying or you're like angry about nothing. And now we have to work through your emotion and we never get to what happened because we're so busy. And so they're giving you busy work. Now, as I'm telling this to Keith, he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, right, because you're on the other side of it. And you actually don't throw big emotion. You just shut down. So it's a different thing. But Keith responds to big emotion by literally walking away from you. And that's how you can tell which one of us is Al-Anonic and which one of us is an alcoholic.
Sure. Yeah. By the way, you're going to love the whole series if you're new to it. 2 Drunk Minimum. It's in your VIP package. If you're on either side of it, I find it interesting.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're telling, who was the friend with the pirate gun?
Oh, Rumsey.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
A pirate gun. Should I spoil it a little bit?
No, that's good.
Oh, my God.
Pirate gun.
Yeah, we were a rowdy bunch of kids.
It is something though when you commit suicide or try to rather, and you're alive, and then you're like, all right, now I got to fix my face. Like that to me, I'd be like, one more fucking thing. Now I'm killing myself for sure. But apparently, that's when you know. I'm reading this story about The Stand, a New York comedy club.
Yeah.
The owner was killed. His nanny was killed by the nanny's boyfriend. The Stand is a popular club here in New York City.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones.
Was killed by the nanny's boyfriend, but the mom, the wife, was away with the kids.
Yeah.
On my news show, I didn't say it. Keith explains that.
Yeah, like
It's
how
interesting.
weird is it? It's the nanny's boyfriend. First of all, what's the nanny doing in the house when the kids are away? Why aren't they calling her maybe a nanny / housekeeper, and that's why she's there? Why are they both in the house not watching children?
David Kimowitz, the owner of Stand Up Comedy Club in New York, died at the age of 40. Kimowitz was stabbed.
So young.
Yeah, so young. Was stabbed to, that's how me and him to say we're young. So young. Too early. 46 old. 45, so young. Kimowitz was stabbed to death at his home in Maplewood, northern New Jersey, along with the family's nanny, Karen Bermudez Rodriguez, 26. The nanny's boyfriend, 27, Joseph Porter of Elizabeth, New Jersey, has been arrested in relation to the crime. He has 2 counts of murder, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, and criminal restraint. Well, that's redundant, Your Honor.
Of course. It's like, oh, you killed someone, and you had a knife, and you intended to kill them.
And manslaughter, and murder. And Kimowitz was the owner and operator, along with his wife, Laura, of the Stand Restaurant and Comedy Club close to Union Square in New York City. In addition to his wife, Kimowitz is survived by the couple's 2 preschool-aged children. Police were called to the house in Maplewood at around 6 a.m. The police were called to the home after a woman was jogging by, saw the injured nanny. The nanny was stabbed, so he dies in the house. The nanny somehow got away, stabbed in the head and the torso, but was found dead.
I don't know. So she must have crawled out with a stab to the head and a stab to the body.
Let's see.
And who knows when they would have found out about this because a jogger came by. So, I guess that's what happens in the suburbs. You don't really hear anything.
Not a stab.
You don't hear a stab, but don't you yell when somebody stabs you? So you don't even hear that.
But that's far away from a big
Right,
house.
yeah.
You would have to be outside doing yard work.
Did they find him on the street?
He died in the
He
house.
died in the house.
Yeah.
So there was a fight. No, the guy, the husband.
Oh, no, the husband died in the house. But how did they find...
No, I'm sorry, the boyfriend.
Yeah, how did they find the boyfriend? Why is he hanging out?
Kimowitz's wife and their 2 preschool-aged children were on vacation at the Jersey Shore at the time of the stabbing. A neighbor says that Porter, the boyfriend who did the murder, was a fixture in the neighborhood. He could regularly be seen in his sedan car in the area.
For what?
Neighbor says, quote, a couple of people are saying they saw him pacing up and down the street the day before. He was doing the same thing last week.
Fuck.
Right. It's you ever notice this? News articles now are like 5 things you need to know. I came across this article. 5 things you need to know about this guy. 1, he was alive. 2, he's dead. 3, everything has to be the numbered bullet points.
God, it's all points now.
Yeah.
Because we have to get the information quicker.
But what's funny is this just happened, and so there's a bunch of quote news outlets that will have it, but they don't know anything. We didn't learn anything. We learned that somebody died, but it's like you have the guy in custody. There's no story behind it yet, and it just feels like they're like, we knew it first, we had it first, let's just put it out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is news now.
Yeah, because it's like
There was a murder, send.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Right. And then only if the story is interesting will they go into it. So if it was an affair, if it was like a lusty affair, or if it was,
Then we'll hear about it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if it's just a guy was crazy, he wanted to kill his girlfriend, this guy was in the way.
Yeah, because right now we don't know that, and why don't we? If you have the guy,
Well,
in
it just
custody,
happened this morning, so give time for we find out if the wife is sad or angry.
or both.
Right.
She's about to feel a lot of feelings.
By the way, last week, the shows were so fun that I was going to talk about this mass shooting that happened, and I'm like, no, and then there's 2 more overnight. The fuck? What the fuck?
Keith is like, now we got to cover it. Okay.
Yeah.
If you Google Second Amendment, by the way, because I'm like, let me see this retarded wording again.
You're not allowed to use that kind of wording.
This stuff is messing up my brain. I apologize. You understand? So you look at images of the Second Amendment, and it's all this right wing, like it's the Second Amendment written out, but it's skulls and crossbones and AK-47 images on top of it.
So
you know what I mean?
It's kind of like propaganda on top of what's supposed to be not news.
Okay, you're supposed to. Okay, the right to bear arms, and then it's like, and fuck you. Like there's a middle finger in every. You'll see. You have the same Google I do.
I've been thinking about it because I do think people have the right to bear arms. I do think that we are a free country, and that comes with that. But when people say it's against the government, I'm like, okay, just own a gun. Just own a gun. Say it's fun. Say that you like shooting at things, and that's it. But let's just put license on it. Why? I need a license to drive a car, and it could expire. Yeah. What? I don't know how to drive a car anymore? Do I need a new license to ride a bike? I mean, what happens? So I can get my license taken away from me if I don't pay my taxes. My license that in the rest of the country takes you to work, right? But you don't lose your gun license because you never had one. Go ahead and do whatever you want.
Northern California, this was last week. It's a garlic festival, of all things.
This made me so sad because I became an asshole in my head. I'm like, I could have been there. I love garlic.
Those poor people. I go to Walmart.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm a garlic first responder.
Right.
I'm not saying I am.
I went straight to, wow, I used a lot of garlic yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Santino Ligon, 19 years old. He was shot dead at the garlic festival after he shot people up. And then, of course, you see his social media, and, he's picking on mixed races. It's all related.
Isn't that all white people at the garlic fest?
Garlic comes from pure white.
He got into the festival by using bolt cutters.
Also, that's where he was shooting people, so maybe it is everybody there.
He used bolt cutters. He didn't even pay a ticket. The event attracts 100,000 people every year to Gilroy, the garlic capital of the world.
Why did he choose? We don't know, right? We don't know why he chose the garlic. Just because a lot of people would be there?
A lot of people. 3 people died. One a 6-year-old, one a 13-year-old, one an adult. The hateful final Instagram post that he put out was saying, "Read Might is Right" by Redgar Redbeard. That's he's a white supremacist, and it's a white supremacist book. Why overcrowd towns and pave more open space to make room for hordes of mestizos? It's a slur for Spanish and indigenous people together. And Silicon Valley white twats.
Can we, it would be great. I have such a great idea. Anyone with a post like this, find a way to swab something of theirs and send them their 23andMe and maybe they'll shut the fuck up. There is no way that you're just the purest fucking snow-driven anything.
Yeah.
Your
I don't
phone
know if that would work. I don't.
No, of course not, Lucas.
I just started. I went into their shoes and went, oh, thank God, it's only like I feel like that would be. They would look at it and be like, it's only 1%. Thank God.
Well, they would actually be more closeted about it. It's like if your kid is seeing some badass dude and you're just like, welcome, you give him the food, you have him over for dinner. But if you're like, he's a fucking asshole, no, he's not. He's the best. You know, you gotta. Yeah.
He used a legally purchased AK-47 to carry out the shooting when he bought in Nevada on July 9th.
By the way, love that we have to say he legally purchased because it's everything's an option with guns.
Yeah.
Yes. He could have 3D printed it. He could have illegally printed it. Yeah.
Imagine hunting with an AK-47. Like, what is the point? That would be some terrible, terrible meat.
Yes.
I found another one, Bob. Think, think. Before the shooting, the teenager who called himself Iranian Italian on social media posted an Instagram that said, "Hey, garlic festival time. Come get wasted on overpriced shit."
Wait, he's Iranian?
Yeah, he's Italian Iranian.
What? I have news for him.
Mm-hmm.
The people don't think he's white.
Right.
Iranian? You look like...
When he's like
this or just Jewish. He probably looks Jewish.
These fucking
Muslim.
Yeah.
Overpriced.
I get to say that I'm Iranian also.
I can say that because I'm look Jewish.
Okay.
Get your overpriced shit. Oh, this new generation of people on their phones.
So what was his problem?
He's racist. Yeah. He's racist.
You're an immigrant too.
You can be on all sides and be racist.
You really can. Really. Boy, it's such a positive experience for everybody.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I can be when I grow up? Racist, no matter who I am.
He was shot dead by police a minute after the shooting was reported.
That's fast.
Yeah. They were being shot at by the suspect when they returned fire with their handguns, the police, of course, and took him down. Then, over the weekend, whole new shooting.
By the way, that was what color person? Oh, Iranian and Italian. Okay.
That was Iranian and Italian. The two latest shootings were white people.
What do you think of how everyone's bringing up that, hey, these are our terrorists? You know, we point at other countries, but it's always a white guy.
Right. It usually is, right.
And it's usually tied to some kind of supremacy sort of situation.
Yep.
So are we allowed to call white guys terrorists now?
Yes.
If this is the pattern, and we only need, as Americans, we only need like 2 in a row to be off-white or black or brown or whatever. Mm-hmm. So how many white people does it take to call you guys terrorists? Answer me, white guys!
Like it was like Unabomber, right? That's terrorist, white guy. Wait. So I guess it's how long you're terrorizing people.
For what length of time?
Yeah.
Okay, Luke. What kind of logic are you bringing to the table
I don't
today?
really understand what I'm doing. I'm just... You yelled white people, and then I felt like I had to defend it. But then I realized that, like, most people, no, most people weren't like, Lucas needs to defend us right now. Get in there, please.
No, I set my alerts to news, but not to, like, multiple gun death news. We get it. Multiple gun deaths again. You know, El Paso, Texas, a shooting that killed 20 people at a crowded El Paso shopping area. That's what you were alluding to with the Walmart.
And in El Paso, they have gun laws that are pretty free and open, right?
Using a rifle, the El Paso gunman opened fire in an area packed with as many as 3,000 people during the busy back-to-school shopping season. This isn't a joke, by the way. In stores now, they sell bulletproof backpacks. And the slogan is "Protection is in session."
No.
Now, is it gauche to put that in the window of the store, or do you have to come across it yourself?
Oh, I think that should be your selling point,
right?
So everyone's comfortable with this, but not gun laws,
right?
Well, I feel like you can purchase that backpack. You can't purchase your senator; they've been bought.
Lucas.
Damn.
Oh, don't shoot, Lucas. That's what you people are known for.
Damn it.
How do you celebrate? 21 years old, Patrick Crucius. He was arrested without police firing any shots.
That's amazing that he got arrested.
He's from a 10-hour drive from El Paso.
Yeah, he drove 10 hours to get to the place. Then he tweeted. Then he did it.
The attack targeted a shopping area about 5 miles from the main border checkpoint to Mexico. Many of the victims were shot at a Walmart. A document that he wrote says race mixing is destroying the nation.
Whoa.
And recommends dividing the U.S. into territorial enclaves determined by race.
It's already happening. It's called towns.
Right.
But El Paso is Texas, right?
Yes.
So doesn't everybody have a gun in Texas? Because a lot of times they say we have it for protection, but did anyone try shooting? He got 20 people in a town where everybody owns a gun.
Right.
Because I think we've proven that having a gun doesn't stop these things.
Well, their guns usually are in their car. So if you're
I'm so sorry.
If you're in the front of a shopping area, that would mean you'd have to run at him probably to get to your gun. That's in the parking lot.
I thought they had open carry. Is that what it's called? Like
yes.
where you can just. I thought they had it on holsters with them. Also, what's the point of having it in your car?
You never know.
Yeah. 1 second. Let me check my glovey. Hold on.
They don't call it glovey.
Yeah. Also, it's completely displayed in their window.
The gun. Oh, it's right on the dash.
It's in the back of the truck.
It's on the dashy.
Yeah.
On Twitter, Sarah Beatty says, guns don't kill people. People who let people who kill people with guns have guns kill people. That's very true.
It's
a great point.
Great tweet.
A shooter in body armor and carrying extra magazines opened fire early Sunday in a popular nightlife area of Dayton, Ohio, killing and injuring dozens before being slain by police. Police patrolling the area responded in less than a minute to the shooting. Well, that's what's crazy.
Wow.
You killed 9 people in a minute.
Yeah. So he's spraying, right?
Yeah. The suspected shooter, was shot to death by responding officers. He was carrying a .223 caliber rifle and had additional high-capacity magazines.
You know what we're not hearing about these guys, which is very interesting. When we hear that black kids have been shot by police officers, we hear how much weed they intake and they might have stolen a cigarette. But here we're like, the guy killed people.
Right. We rarely hear about their past police.
Yeah, if they have a manifesto, it's maybe mentioned, and we can find their Twitter, but it's not like, hey, this guy drinks every night, or he beat his wife,
Police have not yet given a motive for the attack. Oh, let me guess. I bet I can guess. Racism, maybe toxic masculinity, maybe. What's the motive? You know the motive.
This isn't going to end. I think that's why it feels so terroristy.
Yeah.
It's just not going to end, because what would make this stop?
Sandy Hook shook me, and after that, I've been numb.
Yeah.
I can't say any different. I'm just like, oh, there's been 3, and I heard of 1. Or
And there's more, by the way. These are the top of the weekend. By the way, there's more. More happened this weekend. We're in easily over 200 mass shootings. Compare that to any country. You come up with 0, 1, 2. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
I get America's fucking huge, but there's still no excuse.
Does this make you scared that it'll happen, or does it feel like it's happening in other states? Like here, in a movie theater, in a shopping center, on the subway?
Yeah, Crawl's so good, but I don't know. I'm numb to it. Yeah, okay, it'll happen.
In New York, it would be, I feel like
Times Square.
We're we have so much proximity to people. At least I'm thinking about like a New York resident. I think we're so nosy and so in each other's space at all times. By the time you have that breakdown, you've been around enough people to get stopped. But like
there's enough numbers out there where the gun laws, when they're stricter, like in New York City, they work. Yeah. When it's a fucking free-for-all, you die. It's that simple. It's that simple. Again, you have the same Google I do. Look at your fucking hick towns.
Right. And also the idea that you have an automatic weapon that's basically set to not being automatic, and that it's whatever, a $15 plastic piece that you can just add, and now it's the thing. Like that's not a they know what they're doing. That's not they're not, because those pieces are being sold constantly.
I'm not hearing, and maybe because you're telling me the news, but I'm not hearing what normally happens, which is like mental illness. This doesn't feel like mental illness. Of course, when you murder people like that, you are fucking ill, right? You're a sicko. But this is based on an actual, like they have their reasoning, and it's always racism. So is racism a mental illness?
Danielle Campamore says, I'm depressed as fuck, more than I've ever been in my life. I have anxiety, suffer from PTSD, and I'm battling an eating disorder. Guess how many fucking people I've shot and killed? 0. Don't blame mental illness. Blame toxic masculinity, white supremacy, and easy access to guns. Of course, we don't know.
I know people hate when you say things like toxic masculinity. Like, what can we say?
What
anymore?
did I do? Right.
Yeah. Then we're not talking about you.
Right. Don't stop playing yourself, guys.
What do you guys get affected when it's like toxic masculinity? Oh, another white guy, like all these phrases. Why does it roll down your back, off your back?
Because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I feel like I have enough people in my life that would check me on that.
Well, the way you were raised was also very different, right? Highly feminist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And more in the LGBTQ community than the surrounding area. There's another thing that he said during Two Drunk Minimum is you were a kid when Matthew Shepard happened.
Yeah, that was in my town.
And do you remember?
Of course, he was the one who was dragged by a pickup truck, right? Yeah. And then he was hung.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tied up to a fence.
And this was for being gay, of course. And you were raised by 2 moms.
Yeah.
And they were like the only openly gay people in town, basically.
I think my mom was maybe one of the only openly gay state employees, like where it was like on legal transcript of being like, this is a gay person, they work for the state. Everyone else was like a closeted person. That became scary because you started getting death threats and stuff thrown through your window. Yeah, like my mom got a bomb threat in her classroom that was like written in one of her desks.
Fuck.
And we had our Subaru window smashed twice.
No shit, you're chugging Robitussin. I would know what everything does, by the way. Don't drink Clorox. It's not a good high. Here's what else I recommend.
Well, we said, like, what brought... Because, at 9 years old, you're smoking a cigarette. So we said, like, what brought this on? And this was a huge catalyst for it, right?
And so, like, I think... Like, it's so weird because you had to be, like... you got to start, like, talking about, like... There's, like, a lot of forums on the internet where people are able to be completely anonymous. And then they use their First Amendment right to not call these people out. But there's so many people that are really sick right now, and they can't get help because we don't know who they are, but they're just able to just exchange information. So like, I'm being racist and you're being racist, and then all of a sudden, no one's like, "Excuse me, guys, you guys are wrong."
Right.
Like all your facts are wrong. All your information is wrong.
You can stay in a streamline of consciousness and not be interrupted because your Google will be different. Like Keith, when you say you have the same Google, I don't think we do anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I get what you're saying, but gun facts when it comes to the number of deaths doesn't change because you typed in gun deaths not true.
No, but the initial belief system where. And normally these guys usually went to have some kind of military school, military family background because they are protest does nothing, violence is the only thing that's actually proven to do anything. That's usually like that'll be somewhere in their thought process.
Oh, right. Like I forget that is a huge thing. You can be in a town where everyone's talking about the military. People are always coming home from war, and so. Shooting people is not necessarily like, oh boy, like, oh, people who have murdered or killed or what? Yeah.
And it's because that's the only way you actually cause real change. And so as long as there's enough evidence to prove that death actually causes change, you're right. There's going to be some kind of people getting killed for causes.
I can't. Guns are fun, but okay. I can't just set up a roller coaster in my backyard, right? You got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Even cars, again, like just to compare, if I want to go too fast, I have to go to the place where you go too fast, and I have to sign a waiver, and I have to put on extra seatbelts and a helmet and shit like that. They don't just let me go too fast.
Right. Let me say something about the Second Amendment. Doesn't look like these are well-regulated militias. Is that okay to say?
That's a good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What do we take what you like and leave the rest with the amendments?
Right.
Yeah.
Also, I don't like anyone who mentions amendments. Like if there's a person that like I don't
Damn right.
if you mention an amendment to me, I'm like, oh fuck you. Well, my First Amendment allows me to harass her. No, fuck you.
Right. What amendment, dork?
Yeah.
Do you remember that song, Runaway Train?
Runaway train never coming back.
Do you remember that they posted missing kids in the video?
Yes. Oh, now that you reminded me, not that I would remember that, but yeah.
It's been 25 years since that song. 30 missing kids were shown in the video. 21 have been found. I think by law, every video,
Has to have at least one.
just one kid. Just one kid. The end of Mr. Brownstone. And we're looking for Johnny.
I just imagine.
We've been dancing with... This kid's missing. Take a look. Nobody drinks milk anymore.
I like the cocaine. I like the and this kid.
I like that. It was like womanizer.
Betty is 4 years old.
I like that no one's mentioning new songs.
Right. My anaconda. Stevie is 12. That's amazing. Yeah. You know, are they mad? Is it like Schindler at the end of Schindler's List? And he's like, we could have saved more. We could have saved more people. We should have put more kids in more videos. We only did it once.
Damn. Do you remember those shitty pictures on the back of milk cartons?
Yeah.
No, that was right after that. That was gone.
I'd
when I was a kid.
run with the milk carton, just looking around. I was making a mess. What are you gonna do? Oh well, good for them. What band was that? Was it Soul?
Oh, good luck to me.
Well, anyway, we care about the kids.
We didn't find the band.
Right. What is it about? Like, we're talking about all these horrible, violent things, and then we talk about, the movie Crawl, and we just like the violence. Do more people need to watch more violent movies and get them out of their system?
Oh, Keith, you cracked the code. Absolutely.
Or is it
Yes.
encouraging? I'm watching this new show on Amazon called The Boys, and it's about regular people fighting evil superheroes. And it's so good, and I know it's so good to me because it's so violent. I love violent stuff.
I'm totally...
The show starts, it starts with a couple, they have some banter back and forth, you like them, you root for them, they're just talking. All of a sudden, the girlfriend explodes because their version of the Flash just ran through her. And I'm like, this is how it starts?
I love that.
It's so amazing.
That's funny. I just started watching a show. I forget what it's called, but in one of the first scenes, the guy wants the job. Now, this is going to be a spoiler in the first 10 minutes of the show. Plus, I'm not telling you the name of the show. So good luck. When you see this, you'll remember me. So the guy wants the job, and it's clear that this other guy will get it. And so he catches up with him on the way out of the interview. And he goes, hey, sounds like you did good in there. And he's like, yeah, I fucked up. I didn't do that great. He goes, are you going to take the job? And the other guy goes, well, I have a lot of offers, but you got to admit, this place is great. So he pushes him in front of a truck. And I'm like, holy shit.
Grace and Frankie.
But why do you like the violence?
I don't know. But you know what?
Does it frighten you? Does it make you feel weird?
It's like, yay. The show starts, those warnings, adult content, graphic language. It has all of them. There's no room on the screen for more. Adult content, graphic language, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content. I'm like, all of them? Yay!
I also am like, I'm an adult. Right? The whole time. Ooh, I want to see that. Nudity? Yes, please. Oh, blood and gore? Fuck yeah. Drugs? Oh my God. I like drugs.
I saw the movie, number one movie, of course, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, and I was bored shitless. And then I'm nervous that I'm getting older. But then I see this show and I'm like, yay, that's how it's done. Oral sex and the guy's head exploded. 'Cause you're a superhero. You can't sit on a guy's face. Yay!
I really should be concerned, right?
Yeah.
Like, just looking across at him yaying at shit. I'm still young.
There was this comic book when I was a kid called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and it was about this guy, and accidentally he's a murderer, but somehow he gets into heaven. And
That's funny.
It's a great idea, and so basically he's like, you can do anything you want here, and he's like, really? And he just every angel he walks by just explodes their head.
So how? Okay. Here's the thing. We always say like we're looking back. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's totally. That's basically the whole bit. It's so funny.
I should have exploded your head to cut you off.
You know what?
So we look back on shooters and we go, oh look, he had like this violence thing and that violence thing, and it's mostly just like, I don't know, he played too many video games, or women were not on his side or whatever. How can you tell the difference between your happy asses about like exploding angels and blowjobs that went wrong?
Well, that's the thing. You can't, so you need gun laws.
100%. You need laws. Also,
You can't fucking tell. I sound evil.
I'm going to say something. Also, if you've looked at these guys that are all all the shooters, they're not hot. So first thing.
Oh, right. You guys are just gorgeous. I'm sorry.
Only models get guns. I don't mind.
Yeah, you got to be like, that's a lazy eye. Come on, sign a paper.
Wow,
I'm so
wow,
sorry.
wow.
I'm sorry. Sorry for the lazies.
No, you got Elizabeth Shue. She's breastfeeding Superman, and gun laws. I love it too much. That's it. I'm honest. Lucas, you can follow online, Twitter @LovableLucas, and he really is. Instagram @RuffCrowd, RUFF Crowd. The website, just to go back for a second, lovablelucas.com.
Thanks.
Do you ever get sick of talking about the history of your drug use and what happened? And man, I was making so much light of the fucking shit he was saying. I was like, your friend who shot himself. He's like, okay.
It's what's hard about it is that my news stories all of them are blasé to comparative to my childhood. You're like, wait, so you used to be a part of like a weird punk anarchist group, and you like when you start getting into it, you're like, yeah, and now what do you do? Well,
I saw an alligator movie and I got really excited.
Right. He goes, I was hanging out with my friends and then I sent the food back, and you're like, shut up, man.
I never get mad with my girlfriend. It's just not worth it. I always show up when I say I am.
How old are you now?
I'm 32.
So young! No, it's downhill from now.
But I loved how open you were, and Andrea's, of course, the greatest co-host. Next to you, Keith, you were fantastic. So if you don't have our VIP, our premium content, and let's say you can't afford it, it's just not a good time, email me, chemdet@keithandthegirl.com. We do want you to hear this episode, and those who are VIP members, man, do you keep this show going. So thank you so much for your support. Thanks for listening. Spread the word.